The Town head to the Bet365 Stadium on Tuesday evening for a monumental game of Championship football as we look to continue the Great Escape. Alongside me to look ahead to massive game of football is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, well, we won't have to do it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke, but let's hope we can do it on a cool Tuesday night in Stoke.
I've got every hope, mate.
And it is that hope, isn't it? Yeah, we will look at that hope and everything else around this game right after this intro.
I believe our supporters are the best supporters in the country.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football Podcast category in the Football Content Awards. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned before the intro, we are looking ahead to Stoke City versus Luton Town, Tuesday, 7:45 kickoff. If you've not got a ticket in the away end, you can watch this game on Sky Sports Plus if you're in the UK. And, well, Jimbo, what a game it's going to be. Whenever I think of games away to Stoke, my immediate memory is that Sol Davis tackle of about 20 years ago, which was just, I mean, he was a cult hero figure before that, but that just rubber stamped it.
Yeah, you and everyone else. I mean, that tackle does the rounds on social media more than any other tackle I've ever seen. Love it. The game's changed now, isn't it?
I still can't believe that he's sent off for it. He wins the ball. Okay, he goes through the player, the lino, the tunnel, the dressing room and everything else. But he wins the ball. And in that day and age, that was fine if you won the ball. Hey, yeah, let's hope for, not so many juicy tackles on Tuesday night, but certainly not a Luton red card, that's for sure. We definitely need to keep 11 men on this particular pitch. Mixed record at Stoke, I think it's fair to say. Last time we were there, you can kind of write that off, can't you? Because the worst kept secret in the world that Nathan was going to Southampton the next day was there. He should never have managed Luton that night. I'll take that to my grave. And we duly lost 2-0. We could still be playing now and we wouldn't have scored. Prior to that, though, the time we went up in the playoff season that we lost to Huddersfield, we went there and won 2-1. Danny Hilton got a rare championship goal, didn't he? Got the winner in front of the Luton fans that night. It's not one of these grounds that we have a brilliant record at, but in recent times we've been competitive there if you take away that Nathan Jones departure night, which was obviously kind of a derby kind of night anyway because of the history with him and them at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, these sorts of things have to change, and they have been changing of late. So I don't think that that's too much of an issue. I mean, you don't usually get much out of Leeds, really, but we did. So that's all positive. And I think that, they're still in the picture, Stoke. So it's going to be a massive game. And I think when massive games are there, a Luton team that's in confidence goes up there and puts on a show most of the time. So I've got that feeling about it. I don't care what the record is. I don't care what they're like at the moment. I just feel like, it's now or never, really.
It is indeed. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. I think when Mark Robins took over at Stoke, most people thought, well, he'll lead them away like he did Coventry in the sort of seasons when they were struggling. Hasn't really happened. Hey, listen, he's not alone. It's an awful lot of managers that have gone there with heightened reputations who've fallen flat on their face at Stoke. And he's probably not going to be the last one, that's for sure. But you're right. They've kind of not caught fire, have they? But they've got into a little bit of a run. They had the Blackburn lottery that come their way and they got points in that one. They drew with Preston at the weekend. Very, very dubious penalty that got them an equaliser. But then to be fair to them, they were on the wrong end of a equally dubious penalty that Millwall scored in the last minute prior to the international break. But they're not, everyone's expecting Stoke, the size of them. Their owners are as rich as anything in the league, even though they're not foreign investors or anything like that. I've contributed to their ownership far too much in my time, has to be said, and hopefully I won't be contributing to it anytime soon. But people expect them to be at the top end of this table, but for whatever reason, they're getting lower and lower and lower. The trapdoor will open eventually for them. That's up to them to decide if it's this season, but we can take a massive step towards forcing them down with 3 points here.
And we've got to take it because they're one of the teams around the bottom half. Albeit, in the previous podcast, we were saying if you can get points against Leeds, you get points against anyone. But you have got to look against the teams that are directly above you, just in the way that we went to Cardiff and got a result there. Derby's going to come up hot on the heels very soon as well. And that will be the case, even though their form is just as good as Luton's and they're pulling away now. But they won't have enough opportunity to pull that far away that you couldn't reel them back in with a victory there. So and the away games that we've won, two away games. So that monkey's off the back now, and you can go up there in full confidence and try and get a result. And I think that if we're feeling like it's on now, then they've just got to go out there and do it.
This is a big night. All right, listen, nobody needs me to tell them it, but there are two specific reasons why this is a big night. Firstly, we can come out of the bottom three on Tuesday night. Been ages since we've had the chance to come out of the bottom three, and that is actually out. Not level on points with them and behind on goal difference. 2 points behind Derby. Derby have got Burnley. Don't pick now to stop winning Burnley. You keep on your merry way. Don't do a Sheffield United on us. They win that. Cardiff are the other ones, obviously. They were at Preston. Preston, I thought they'd thrown a towel in, but they put up a decent effort on Saturday, so hopefully they can do something there. If we win, we can come out of the bottom three. However, if we win, for the first time in absolutely yonks, our destiny's in our own hands, even if we stay in the bottom three, because this Saturday, it's Cardiff against Stoke, and we would be within 1 point of both of them were we to win this game, or at least one of them. And therefore, if we win our last 5, we'll definitely finish above both of them.
Yeah, and that's why I'm sort of, everybody does look at the results and they weren't that favourable at the weekend, but kind of don't look at them because you can't really do anything. It's a bit annoying that they picking up results, especially the likes of Oxford against Sheffield United when we thought that they'd drop. I think there's still a chance, but can't really do anything about them. But it is in your hands right now. Go to Stoke, win, get out, and then carry on that form to the end of the season. Bob's your uncle. And I think that's what you've got to really focus on. And sometimes when, you speak to players, you speak to managers and they say that concentrate on ourselves stuff, it's sort of kind of a get out. But in this particular scenario, I think it's quite right. And it's a nice place to be.
The one thing I would say about us this season, take the Plymouth games out of the equation. I mean, let's hope they don't come back to haunt us. Our record against these teams in and around us is very good. Done the double over Cardiff, done the double over Hull, beat Derby at home, beat Stoke at home, picked 4 points up against Portsmouth. The only ones, apart from Plymouth, that are around us that we've not got a decent record against is Oxford, and we only picked up 1 point from 6 against them. But everyone else, 17th and below, we've got a really, really good record against. And if we do complete this great escape, that will be the reason why we've done it, because in the games that matter, the silly saying of 6 pointers, in the 6 pointers, we've picked up the equivalent of the 6 point gap.
And that's how you do it, isn't it? That's how you've got to stay up. I mean, it'd be a very odd season if you went and battered everyone in the top half and lost to everyone in the bottom half, wouldn't it?
It'd be a very Luton season as well, let me tell you. I've seen many a time that's happened in my time.
Yeah. No, that's heartening to hear, though, isn't it? Particularly when you're looking at records and, Stoke in particular going up there is not a particularly good record, but I thought we were well worth it, even though it was a lucky goal that won it. When they came down, I thought we were well worth it. I didn't think that they were that great, to be honest, and neither were we for pretty much until the last month. We weren't that great either. So, I mean, these things are, they just help. They just add into the picture, don't they? Everything that we've spoken about on the pitch, they're doing the right things in terms of fight, belief, and playing with the structure. Defensively hard to beat and to penetrate to the point that a Leeds team have to rely on a worldie, and that's all good. Then late on, they miss the sitter. There's a bit of luck. You've got players coming into form, hope and belief from the pitch, coming from the stands as well. It all adds into that, and then you add something like that, and you think, yeah, why not? This is why people are starting to believe.
Yeah, it's why I'm starting to believe. That's for sure. I mean, this is going to be a dog of a game of football. This is Cardiff away all over again, isn't it? Really, I
hope it's not that much of a dog of.
It'll do well to be that much of a dog of a game of football.
Yeah.
But if it is and it gets the same result, you be my guest, Town. Be my guest. This is all about winning the game of football. Aesthetics and all of that can go out the window for this one. That's for sure. Briefly on Stoke, obviously when they came down here, Tom Cannon was the talk of the town because we tried to sign him in the summer. Rob alluded to it in the pre-match press conference for that game and confirmed it. He duly went and scored, as was always going to be the case. He won't be scoring on Tuesday night, though. Well, he might be, but it won't be for Stoke. It'll be for Sheffield United if he is scoring on Tuesday night. Because he's moved on, they've gone and got another Premier League loan in his place, Ali Al-Hamadi, who was at AFC Wimbledon last season on loan from Ipswich. Won the penalty on Saturday, was gifted the penalty on Saturday. But good record in the lower leagues, Al-Hamadi. Got him his move to Ipswich. That was never going to work out with the form of Liam Delap for Ipswich. So he's definitely someone that we've got to look out for. He doesn't always start, Al-Hamadi. In fact, Gallagher has been starting an awful lot, and I really wouldn't mind Gallagher starting here because I think McGuinness can keep him quiet. No problem. Al-Hamadi's more of that pacier one that causes us problems.
Pace used to cause us problems. Now we have Christ Makossa. I'm just saying, it does feel like that. But that's one of the things that we missed defensively when Gabe Osho decided he wanted to go to France, that he always had that power of recovery. And then we missed it. And, all the centre-halves that we had, and when they weren't injured, they weren't often the paciest. And if you had players that had that, it was a very difficult afternoon. But there's been a couple of occasions in his short but very lovely tenure at the back there, Christ Makossa, where he has managed to recover situations that previously would have ended in punishment, really. So that's not to say I want a pacey fella running at the defence all the time. So I'd go with you, and Gallagher would be a lovely choice. But you can't look at the defensive record at the minute and be too scared of anyone. You've just kept Leeds out, really. Dan James' goal was from 20 yards, and there's not many players in this division that can hit that with their wrong foot and get it in. So 3 clean sheets in that time. Looking good, mate.
It is, yeah. It is looking good. At the other end, in contrast to the goals that they score, they've got one of the best goalkeepers in the league, Victor Johansson. He was really good at Rotherham, actually. He certainly wasn't the reason why Rotherham went down last season, that's for sure. He's definitely... I mean, it turned out to be wasted words in the Leeds preview because they swapped goalkeepers, and if Mark Robbins wants to go down the same route and swap goalkeepers here, then be my guest, because there's no way they're bringing in someone better than Johansson. Really, really good keeper. I can't remember everything about that game down here because it was during that period where everyone was in the doldrums, and although we won, kind of felt like a papering over cracks win, as so many of them did at that time. But he stood out, the goalkeeper, and we're probably going to have to do something a little bit special to get the better of him on Tuesday night. But hey, I just referenced that Cardiff game. We did something very special down there, so let's say we got that up our locker again.
Yeah, he ain't going to save a Jordan Clark cracker if he hits one of them, but equally he's not going to save the goal that we scored at the weekend against Leeds. That was a wonderful move. The goalkeeper was miles away from that because he had to be forced across his line. And Luton have actually been looking to try and create that goal quite a number of times. As we've got behind defences and to the byline more times under Matt Bloomfield than we did it feels like, I mean, statistically probably not, but you'll tell me this, but it feels like got there more under Matt Bloomfield than we did when it was just knock it out to the big men and hope for the best under Rob Edwards at the end of it. So you can definitely see that that's a pattern that they're trying to get into this team. And why wouldn't you when you've got Izzy Jones that can get around the back and pace-wise, and Doughty back in the team, obviously, because how many ever months he was out for, that option ceased to be, didn't it? So it's a positive, that, because we were pretty much reliant on set pieces and just set pieces. I was trying to think of a second one, but set pieces, and that's still a weapon. But there's others now, and that goal showed it at the weekend. Not many goalkeepers are going to save that if you can do that.
Yeah, I don't know if we're in the final third or the byline more under Matt Bloomfield than we were under Rob. But what I do know, the eyes will tell you, more people get to the byline under Matt Bloomfield than under Rob. It was literally just Alfie and whoever we were employing at right wing back under Rob, wasn't it? Now Tello adds guards regularly there. The two strikers can get in there. Jordan Clark's been there quite often. Even Liam Walsh pops up at the byline from time to time. Izzy Jones, Alfie Doughty, the two outside centre-backs, maybe not to the byline, but certainly level with the 18-yard box. A lot more people are in that attacking position, whereas, that wasn't the case under Rob. So, yeah, that is a fair assessment. Interestingly, we cross the ball a hell of a lot less under Matt than we do under Rob. That is a statistic that I've noticed because, well, I don't know why, but the goal on Saturday was a very rare goal that Luton scored under Matt Bloomfield from a cross that's not been a set piece. Usually we're trying to work the ball into the box a lot more. With that comes the caveat that we're shooting from outside the box a lot more. So, it's not always going down the flanks and things like that. But for all of the attacking play, there isn't as many crosses. That's not to say we're not putting crosses in. Why wouldn't you when you've got the best aerial duel winner in the championship up front? But we're mixing it up a lot more. And, well, if we're keeping teams guessing, that's no bad thing.
Well, yeah, you have to. I mean, everybody saw the damage that Luton did in the Premier League last season with crossing it into the box, because that's not a style that the Premier League really plays anymore. Premier League teams don't really play anymore. So it's a bit of a throwback that they couldn't really deal with. I won a lot of plaudits. But you can only do the same thing so often and it work all the time without getting found out. And, Man City being an example this season, aren't they? That even I think Pep Guardiola said himself, there's teams that are now playing a completely different way to what Manchester City are, and that's having more of an effect than what their tick-attacker stuff was doing, which was very effective, as we saw last season. But football changes and it evolves all the time. You can't always just do the same thing and get the same results. So that would make sense that you've got to try and skin this particular cat in numerous different ways.
Poor old cat. Yeah. There's a key thing that's growing in Matt's press conferences. We're recording this before the press conference. We're not going to play anything from the press conference. You'll have to look at the Lutonian.com for that. Turnaround time's so tight to edit in words and everything else is just really, really awkward. But one thing he's probably going to say again, he's concentrating on increasing the quality of chances, and he'll reference XG for that, which we've not really heard in the past. Obviously, the sort of foundation to that is the better the quality of the chance that you have, the more likely is that you're going to score it. And in this particular game, that's what we need, because Victor Johansson has saved 10.6 goals this season based on the XG that he's faced. So let's say the XG that he's faced is, I don't know, 30, and he's only conceded 20, which is obviously not those sorts of numbers. But either way, he's the second best performing goalkeeper in that particular metric in the league, behind James Trafford, who's just on some sort of freakish season. So we are trending in the right direction in terms of what Matt's saying to be useful in this particular test that's in front of us.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, some of the statistics that we do get shown a little bit, they're all trending upwards, and XG is one of them, and there's many others. There's so many statistical things. And if Mike from the Luton News is watching, field tilt is a new one that he's particularly fond of mentioning. It's something I particularly hadn't heard of before. I think it's an American thing that's come over, isn't it? But they're all sort of trending towards improvement, which is where Bloomfield, part of what Bloomfield was, where he was coming from in saying that if we do X, Y, and Z, we will improve, we'll get better. And he's always been fairly confident. He's a very, very confident man that they'll get out of it. And that's part of the mix of it. But just the general, if you're not really into the statistical side of it, just the general vibe and the feeling of the way Luton are playing would suggest that as well. So there's a marriage there, but it is interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, teams and coaches use statistics to that extent so much because so much of football these days is cancelling itself out, isn't it? With, it's nowhere near the crash bang wallop exciting game of football that English football was in the 80s and 90s. It's been Pep Guardiola'd in that time. If I can say it. And everyone's sort of jumping on that bandwagon. Like you said earlier, now they're jumping off of it and finding a different way to play football, and that's what we're doing. But just stands to reason, the better quality of your chance, the better the chance is it's going in. There is no such thing as 100% certainty in any life, but the closer you can get to those kind of numbers, the better. And we're probably going to have to be close to that here. Just one other person to speak of from a Stoke point of view, and then I'm going to turn it back to Luton. We referenced it in the first game. I think his numbers have dropped off slightly since then, but I can't remember his first name. But Manhoff, the winger, creates a heck of a lot of chances. He's definitely someone that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I think on Saturday he played down the left-hand side for them, but he can play down the right-hand side. But if he plays down the left, that's fine, because Izzy Jones will match him up for pace anyway. We're going to come on to who could play down the left-hand side for Luton shortly. Whoever it is and wherever he plays, we need to keep an eye on him if he's creating chances, because the quieter a night he has, the better the defensive output's going to be.
Yeah, we do. But I think the Leeds game gives you so much confidence in that area because the two best wingers came to town, and yeah, one of them scored a worldie, but they weren't ripping Luton to shreds like they were at Ellen Roads, for instance. But it wasn't just them. Tanaka had a wonderful game up there and was fairly anonymous actually at the weekend, which we didn't even talk about because he's a top player. So
wasn't anonymous when we scored, thankfully.
No. But if you could do that against the two best wingers in the league, then you can do that against everyone. And Izzy Jones having that pace is useful, and he's been quite effective in that wing back role. Still needs to improve, I think, in his delivery. And not everything was sticking at his feet against Leeds, but they were pressing as well as they could. So I'll let him off there. He scored his first goal. So I think that I just don't care who's up against Luton at the moment. That doesn't seem to be a problem, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? One of the reasons why he'll create chances, he takes set pieces, and they're pretty good from set pieces. Find me a Stoke side down the years that haven't been good at set pieces, so that's definitely going to be a threat that we have to nullify. Million man off for all the Stoke fans that are shouting at me, why haven't I done research? I have. I just couldn't remember the geezer's name off the top of my head. Luton. We'll go back to front. This time there is going to be a conversation to be had at the front, isn't there? Obviously, Kaminsky's going to be in goal. I think everyone's happy with that these days. Back three's the back three. Yes, there's lots knocking on the door. Or is it because Alfie went off on Saturday? There was no sort of prognosis in the post-match media that came about.
I think he said in the club media that he picked up a knock that they will have to look at. When I saw it on the pitch on Saturday, I thought maybe he's got cramp. And I hope that would be better. That would be easier to come back from. But also he's talked a lot about not risking players as well. So if it's 50-50, then I would imagine he doesn't play.
In which case, Amari'i to left wing back, Cal Naismith to left centre half.
Yeah, I mean, I ideally wouldn't want to be changing the back line because they're doing so well, but that would work. No problem with that. And he hasn't any many games, Cal, so I'm sure he'll be fresh. It's amazing that you can keep Cal Naismith on the bench, isn't it? That really is what one thing to really be highlighting, because he should get in that side all day long if they're not playing well, but they are.
But that's not just the defence either, is it? He can play in many different positions.
I was reminded that he played up front for Portsmouth, didn't he? So, and he was a winger at Rangers, I think. And it was
He played in goal for Portsmouth as well.
Yes, yeah. It was Nathan Jones that converted him to a centre back, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he arrived as a sort of versatile utility player who was here to play at left back. But then we had the start of that losing playoff season, every centre back was injured. So we ended up having to go with him and Osho, didn't we? Osho had been out on loan at Rochdale the season before. And then they played so well to start that season off that when the regulars, Sonny Bradley, Matty Pearson and that were back, we switched to a back three with Naismith at the left of it. But he can play defensive midfield. He played for us there in that particular season. Like you say, he could play on the left. I mean, it could be Cal Naismith at left wing back. Generally, when Alfie's gone off, he's brought Ali on at left wing back. I'd be surprised if he starts there. Chong's another one, but we're going to come on to Chong in a minute. The obvious one would be to move Amari'i, but like you say, moving the back three around, maybe not. So maybe then Cal Naismith could be the left wing back. He's certainly, like you say, fresh enough to do the job. And if he's in the attacking area, we know he's got the quality to put a decent ball in. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm kind of happy with Cal Naismith there, yeah.
Sounds good, doesn't it? I quite like that as an option. So let's go with that. I think that would be okay. If there's any doubt over doubting whatsoever, then don't risk him, because we can't afford him to be out for longer. Cal Naismith in at that position would be quite nice.
Yep, would agree with that. Yeah, exactly. We're in the middle. Well, not in the middle. We're about to start three of the biggest games in our history. As you know, as said, I'm not overriding the strength of that. Three huge games. Midfield, no reasons to change. These midfield three are doing the job, aren't they? And they're all doing their own individual jobs, but then collectively, when they combine their individual jobs, they're the strongest three we've had all season.
He's got them ticking over really nicely. He's found them all really useful roles that they are excelling at. I'm loving the work of Liam Walsh at the moment. I think he's a top draw player, and Clark is not having to do so much of that defensive aspect of it, which wasn't particularly working well, but he is getting forward and scoring or creating chances, causing the damage. And Asgard's growing into this team. He really is going to be a player, and you don't drop him. He's Bloomfield's marquee signing, so he's not going to be dropped.
Yeah, of course. I mentioned midfield three. Will it be midfield four? Will we go to this box midfield that we went with when Elijah went off on Saturday? We were only in it for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then all the other finishers had to come on, and that changed Chong's position once again. But we played it in the Premier League, and we've played Chong in behind. Well, it was Elijah then, wasn't it? Chong and Morris would have been in behind him, and then obviously when Clark came back at places like Burnley and things, we played Clark there. But we can easily have the two sitters of Walsh and Clark, and then Asgard and Chong, form in that box. The reason why I think Chong might play that role ahead of, people are going to be shouting at me, what about Ali? What about Lasse Nordas? Where are they? Ali strikes me as a finisher right now. He's got that 30-minute impact in him. Certainly up front anyway. And Lasse Nordas, he needs some football in him before we start him in a game of this magnitude, I would imagine. But also I noticed that Stoke had a lot of the ball on Saturday against Preston. So we might have to rely on soaking up pressure and hitting on the counter-attack. And that's where Chong does come into play. Scorer of my favourite counter-attack goal of all time is in a Luton shirt, isn't he? So, that's why I would kind of go in that direction.
I would as well. You're away from home anyway, regardless of what Stoke was doing at Preston. You'd expect that the home team has more of the ball, and you're going to need pace. It's not that Elijah, if he doesn't play, which I would imagine he doesn't have pace, but he's not the paciest. And if you're just having Morris up there on his own, then you're going to be seriously devoid of that particular aspect if you don't put someone in there that has it. I agree with you that people can say, yeah, Millie Ali has that, but I think at the minute what he's doing is working. He's going to be one for next season for sure. And we've already seen that Chong comes in and he's trusted because of the stature of the player and where he's played and his history with this particular team. That said, he's obviously still coming back from a long injury, so he's not going to play a long time. If they can get 60 minutes out of him, probably the most, and then that fits in with the 30-minute Millie Ali finisher scenario that you talked of. So that would probably where I think that they'd go. And he did a lot of good stuff in attack, Chong, against Leeds. It was just those hairy moments at the back where he couldn't get the ball away in one particular sequence, which got people a bit worried. But more towards the top of the pitch, less towards the back, and then we were okay.
Yeah, if you're on the edge of our box, Chong, you just get rid of the sodding thing. Don't care where or who or how or anything else like that. Just get rid. I think it will be him. He's very, very good on the counter-attack. He's also very good at retaining possession with the ball at his feet, whether that's holding on to it and winning free kicks, as Jimbo said, or whether it's carrying the ball up the pitch. He's probably the best carrier of the ball in this side. Jordan Clark's not far behind, obviously. But, when you head down and running, which, generally is the counter-attacking move, then he would be key. I mean, you'd love us to be defending a corner and all of a sudden Walsh puts it out to Jones to sprint down the right-hand side and Chong on the left-hand side and replicate that Liverpool goal that I referenced earlier, which is my favourite counter-attacking goal by a country mile in a Luton shirt.
Yeah, I would love to see that. It's one effective way that Luton can go to any away ground and play, and we have seen that a lot. Remember, under Nathan, they didn't have a lot of the ball anyway. I mean, yeah, we didn't have a lot of the ball in the Premier League, but that's the Premier League, isn't it? And but they figured out a way to do that, and counter-attacking was one of those ways. So, and that's quite exciting as well. It'd be like, if you're just going to play that and soak up, that would make sense because the defence is being quite resilient at the moment, and soak it up, and then you've got players like Liam Walsh that can spring something with a pass to get that move going ahead. So that if they were going to play with that tactic, I'd be quite comfortable with it.
Yeah, me too. You're comfortable with it when you've got a defence that you can rely on. We couldn't play earlier in the season because you couldn't rely on this defence for love nor money. Last time we went away to a Mark Robins side, it started oh so well. Let's just hope it finishes oh so better.
We're in a different world now, though, aren't we?
I think if we go 2-0 up in this game, we'll see the job through. I don't see them collapses that were too frequent under Rob. I don't think we've got that in us now. We'll concede goals. Of course we'll concede goals. You're going to concede goals in any game of football that you go in at the second tier level. There are some good individual players in it, but I mean, the one collapse I sort of think of when I think of Matt Bloomfield is the Oxford game. I think we've got that out of our system now.
Oh, I bloody hope so. I couldn't go through that again, but I think so. I think that he's obviously come in. He's worked that defence. That was got to be his main priority. He came in. He saw the amount of goals they were conceding. It was ridiculous. And you can't go into games thinking you need 3s and 4s to win football matches. As it stands, not scoring that many goals still, but I feel more confident that you might get a 1-0 here or there, which is, not unfamiliar territory. That's how we went up to the Premier League. We 1-0'd our way to the Premier League, and that was fine. It's thrilling sometimes as well. It's great. So I'd be much more confident in the defensive ability to keep them out. Particularly, I don't think they particularly. I think they've started scoring in recent weeks, but they weren't particularly magic in front of goal until that point. But you just look to go back to the weekend. Continue to go back to the weekend and say kept Leeds out so well. You can keep anyone else out.
Yeah, only 41 goals in 40 games for Stoke. So you're right, they're not free scoring. They've won the last 2 at home. QPR was one of those. And as I mentioned a minute ago, Blackburn, we had that on behind the cameras. We was recording, wasn't we? And the goalkeeper made 2 or 3 really, really good saves. So that wasn't a run-of-the-mill win for Stoke by any stretch of the imagination. So we're seeing 2 team changes here, aren't we? Chong in for Elijah and someone potentially, we think it would be Naismith for Doughty, whether it's Bell left wing-back or whether it's Naismith left wing-back. That's how we see the team lining up. Lots of pace for to go at in this game. They've got a really, really slow backline. That's one thing that I did remember from the home game. We can get down the kind of sides of them. They've got a big couple of centre backs, so Morris will have his work cut out. But if we can get in with a bit of pace, might even be able to get Asgard in between the lines here. This may not be the sort of Luton performance that we've seen recently of knock it on and win the seconds and things like that we saw at Cardiff, that we saw on Saturday. This might be one of those sort of occasions where we do try and get the ball down and play a little bit more and make the most of what we have of the ball with that pace. That you look at this team now, Jimbo. If you compare this team from the team that went to Coventry, there's a hell of a lot more pace in this team than that team had.
I think you've got to make use of that. I'm always wary against particularly Stoke, but teams that have those big centre halves. Remember, we didn't get any change out of Chris Mepham earlier in the season, and we just kept slinging balls up to his head, and they gobbled it up. But similarly, to some degree, Plymouth as well, when they came down to our place, it just smacked of like, how many times you're going to try this particular formula and get rejected and keep going back for more. And I think that would be the shape of what Stoke would provide if you just throw the ball up to Morris. As good as he has been and as effective as he has been at winning duels in the air, sometimes you've got to recognise when it might be a little more tricky, and I think this might be one of those occasions. So yeah, utilise the pace that we now have with Jones, and Chong will give that as well, and that will stretch teams, and then that would give Asgard more space to drop in between those lines and work some magic. So that would be something I'd like to see.
That's the thing, isn't it? If we are playing this box midfield, you've got to use this. You've got 4 midfielders. You've got to use them, haven't you? Ball at their feet, turning, going at defenders, committing them. And then, like you say, the space opens up for Asgard. It opens up for the wider players, and it will create lanes for Morris to run into as well. Morris equalised at home, so we can get him on the ball. I think
so. I don't think it might be something that they won't have too much evidence to research and look at and plan for at Stoke. I mean, so you could hit them with a bit of surprise with that sort of tactic, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And I've referenced the Cardiff game a few times, but if you think back to the winning goal at Cardiff, it was probably as good a footballing move as we'd displayed all season prior to the goal on Saturday. It's a really, really lovely move. It all started from the right wing-back area with Izzy Jones, didn't it, into Jacob Brown. I think there was another pass and then out to Josh Bowler. Okay, Josh Bowler's shot was probably not the most powerful shot he's ever going to hit in the world, but it fell beautifully for Taylor Asgard, and bang, we'll have 3 points. Thank you very much.
Yeah, more of that would be great. Less so of the first half when they couldn't pass for Toffee, but the ends justified the means in that particular game. And it may be the case that happens numerous times throughout this 6-game run, because it is all about the end result. That's it.
It is indeed. Yep, that's for sure. So that's how we go at them. Go at them with a bit of pace. Be careful of their set pieces. They are pretty good with set pieces. Don't give stupid free kicks away around the edge of our box. We don't need to put ourselves under any undue pressure, but there's absolutely no reason why we can't replicate what we did at home, albeit it would need to be a different winning goal scorer, because I believe that was Elijah's last goal this season, wasn't it, the winning goal in that game? Which is unfortunate because that was in December.
Yeah, it's a very long time ago, and both strikers haven't scored in 2025, so that would be handy to change and sharpish.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Let's have your team selections. Have we got it right? Is it just simply Naismith in for Doughty? If indeed Doughty's out, you'll know if he's out by the time you listen to this, because this podcast won't come out before Matt's press conference. We're second guessing really with what we saw on Saturday and how Luton injuries tend to work, it has to be said. We're expecting Elijah to be out. Are you chonging behind Morris? Are you playing Millie from the start? Have you seen evidence that he can do the 90 minutes from the start in that position? What about Lassin Ordas? Let us know. Not so much time to get your comments in, but we'll try and react to them all as we usually do. We'll conclude this podcast with the score prediction. Me to go first, Jimbo. There's only one way Luton win this. Luton win this 1-0, like we tend to win games under Matt Bloomfield right now. That will be the score, 1-0 Luton. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you ready? We all know where this is going. It's worked a treat. It's the sole reason that we're in this wonderful position of hope and optimism. It's all about reverse psychology for win. And on that basis, Stoke are going to win 14-0.
I really, really hope this reverse part of this psychology stays intact, because it's not one of my favourite places to go in the world, the Bet365 Stadium, and if it's anything like that scoreline, it would be even less of my favourite unless it is the reverse part of it. Give us your score predictions. Hot race at the top of the leaderboard now, within 5 points at the top, so every score matters, and get those in, and if you get 3 points, you'll get a shout out in the review episode, which will be out at the usual time after this game, and obviously if you get the correct result, we'll give you a point as well, and the top 5 will be on the leaderboard in that review episode. That is pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. As I've been saying all week, these podcasts are coming thick and fast. We've got a 3-game week here. We've got 2 games in 3 days after that next week as well. So they're going to be coming at you thick and fast. So what can they do to make sure they don't miss any?
You can subscribe, for goodness sake. It's easy. It's free. Just click a button and you get all that goodness, and it'll make you feel lovely and warm and fuzzy inside as well. I promise.
And you'll be helping us out in doing so as well, which would be absolutely fantastic. That is it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks as ever to the Barbershop and the Lower Level in Luton for hosting our studio, to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, and to Ed Smith Creative for all the designs that you see on set. If you have a ticket in the away end at the Bet365 Stadium, loud and proud, give the boys absolutely everything we've got. Together we can do this, that is for sure. So from Jimbo and myself, until next time, where we'll review what we hope are 3 massive points in the battle to beat the drop. Come on, you Hatters, let's do this.
I believe our supporters are the best supporters in the country.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people.